schooling your children?
School, homework, detention, swirlies. There are lots of reasons why someone may not want to put their kids in a typical schooling environment. And there are lots of reasons why kids...
Schools are a prison for children, nothing else.
By the way, this guy committed a mass stabbing at his high school. He stabbed 3 students, and then he ran home, and supposedly he tried to kill himself, but he was too much of a bitch to actually cut the knife deep enough. And the police found him with cuts around his wrist. So, yeah. Maybe you do want to homeschool your kids so they don't run into somebody like Sverige.
themselves hate school, especially if they live in the US. Maybe not the worst education system in the world, but we sure are gunning for it. For all those reasons, it can make sense that someone may want to try out alternative schooling methods. The most popular being probably online schooling, which is something that a lot of people became familiar with in 2020. With online assignments and Zoom classes, it makes pretending to do algebra while playing Animal Crossing much easier. Then, of course, you have homeschooling, where your parents get to decide whether you're a dumb kid with no friends or a smart kid with no friends. But
she's saying that you won't have any friends if you don't go to school. Firstly, it's not as if you really actually have friends just because you meet random people at the prison. Secondly, you can eat...
Okay, this confirms it. Sverige has never had any friends. He is a loner loser who nobody likes. By the way, everybody who's actually dealt with Sverige says he's a complete fucking asshole. People who are fans of his, who they let him stay at their apartment, they all say he's a fucking dickhead. They're letting him stay in his apartment for free, but he ends up acting like he owns the place, making a ton of demands. Entitled shithead. So, yeah, this guy's never had any fucking friends.
Easily go outside just like any kid and socialize with other children. Why would you not have friends if you don't go to school? That's a stupid argument.
Recently, I found out there's a third option.
So we don't teach our children anything. Everything that they learn.
Of course, she takes her as an example because she doesn't appear to be credible because of those tattoos, especially the face tattoos. But what she said isn't exactly wrong. If she's referring to not forcing your children to learn anything, without exaggerating, 95% of what I learned in school was useless.
How come?
I never needed it in my life. It was super boring. I hated being there because of how useless it was. 95% of what the teachers told me was pointless, and I knew it back then. I even told the teachers actually that I know that I will never need any of this, especially when it comes to mathematics. It was the most useless subject there was. History also.
Math is probably the most useful and important subject. Like, most jobs don't really require great language skills. I mean, like, unless you're going to be a writer, journalist, something like that. Maybe a paralegal, lawyer, stuff like that. But most high-paying jobs do require, at least pretty decent math skills. So, no, math is one of the most important subjects. Like, this is a guy who literally just begs for money online, and he's like, I always knew school was going to be worthless because I could just ask for money and people would give me money, so why would I work like a slave? Like, it's just so retarded.
So, the history is fake anyway. The victors write the history. Who cares what they write?
In response to either their interests or their question. We have no curriculum, we have no...
Yes, exactly. You should respond to what they are interested in. In nature, you would teach your children how to survive. Nowadays, you can argue that that's not really necessary, although I believe that every child...
By the way, Sverige has said he encourages parents to rape their own children. So he would know a lot about parenting. Would you rather your content be critically acclaimed but flop, or popular but shit content? Probably critically acclaimed but flop.
Human in general should learn about this.
Those school hours, we really just respond whenever they want to know something and do our best to make sure they...
Yes, exactly. You respond to the natural curiosity of children. If they are not interested in math, then they should not learn it. You don't need to understand how to combine man-made symbols on a man-made paper. It's completely meaningless. It's incredibly boring for a human being.
He says this while using, a platform that required a high degree of math skills to actually create. So, yeah. The guy relies on educated people for his well-being while claiming being well-educated is a waste of time.
In general, because it's just so unnatural. It's so meaningless.
Really get it?
Free schooling or unschooling is like a branch of homeschooling minus the schooling. This website says
Let's see.
it's an educational philosophy that relies on a kid's innate curiosity and desire to learn. In families that practice unschooling, students do not attend school and do not follow any set homeschool curriculum. So they typically don't have any courses. They just go about their day, and if the kid happens to ask a question like, hey, what's math? Then the parent would explain it and try to teach in the moment, which relies on the kid to ask...
Yes, but the kid doesn't want to learn math. Anyway, it seems like a great way to school your children. It seems pretty natural, actually. Great. If any parents like this are watching this video, I salute you.
really good, insightful questions all the time, which they usually
This
do.
guy is
Mom, why is my
retarded.
booger purple? Also, during which year did the French Revolution end? And she goes on to...
Yeah, except that no kid on Earth and no adult on Earth cares about the French Revolution. Naturally, there is no history, there is no past or future. Humans only live in the moment. And again, seeing as the victors write the history, even if you are curious about it, you're going to be...
So first of all, historians write history. And he thinks knowing history is not important. Like, imagine if we lived in a society where we didn't know the Holocaust ever happened, or we didn't know about the American Civil War, or the Native American genocide, or like any of these really important events in history. Like, that's just insane.
reading lies anyway.
show us an example of the unschooling her son has been doing.
My son's 6, and it took some patience, and not comparing myself to other moms, but this is his book. Look at this. Lamp, egg, jar, lion. This is him doing this by himself.
So her son is 6 years old, and this is seemingly the first time he's ever written words down. All of the top comments are pointing out that this isn't very advanced for a 6-year-old.
Yes, and what does it matter? Wait, let's go back to the comments. We'll see what they say.
What does it matter if your child can read or write?
This is such a disservice to the child. Holy hell, he should be further than this at 6. Further at reading and writing man-made symbols, which no human being in nature does. That's a disservice.
He literally thinks children should not learn how to read or write.
Why? Why would a human need to do it at all? I get it that in the slave system, you need to do it sort of to survive, although you don't really, but it's easier to be able to read and write. But naturally, no purpose whatsoever. Doesn't have anything to do with a natural life.
What a whack
You're crippling
job.
your children. That's crazy exaggerated. Crippling. You can't use that word whatsoever in this case. It's fine if you want to keep them ignorant and at home forever. Personally, I want better for my kids. You want better by sending them to prison. Nice. This isn't a free learning or unschooling. It's just neglect. I don't know what she means or he. But public education may not be the answer. You gotta do better than this. This is such a disservice to your kids. Son, egg, you look how bright my son is. She's simply showing you that he did it out of his own interest. Maybe he watched TV or whatever. He saw the word and he wrote it himself. That's really her point. Man, that's impressive. Imagine he would be capable of, if he was given the opportunity of being taught by professionals who brainwash your children and make them sit in a chair for whatever, 7, 8, 9 hours a day, depending on which country you're in. In some places, it's even worse. You destroy your back, you become an obedient slave who listens to authority. You learn something that you will never need in your life, just so that you can never think for yourself again. Because if you keep listening and repeating, and just listening to authority, then you can't think for yourself whatsoever.
This is coming from the guy whose entire belief and worldview comes from Sojourner Vonderplants. He just listened to what somebody else told him and believed it and went with it.
Anymore, because anytime you question your teacher, she or he will tell you to shut up because they know the best. Whereas the teacher should be telling the children to always question them because they may be wrong, but they say the so-called opposite of that. They always tell them to just listen and repeat. It's horrible. School is horrible for so many different reasons.
Out that this isn't very.
So is this why he stabbed 3 kids at his high school? I'm tired of sitting in a chair and my back hurts, so now I'm going to stab you all and kill myself. Oh no, maybe I should have studied in school how to kill myself. I didn't know how to do it good. Now the police are going to arrest me. Damn it.
Very advanced for a 6-year-old. And I don't have a way to gauge whether it is or not, so I asked my mom, who homeschooled 5 kids. She said, well, there are way too many factors to consider. Are they a first child?
Sojourner Vonderplants was a guy who believed that the natural human diet is just raw meat, and he ate raw meat like a retard. He ended up dying from falling off a balcony in Thailand, and Sverige heard of this guy and then just followed all of his stupid, dumb ideas.
Now that I think about it, at 6, I must have still been in kindergarten, most likely. Then I started going to school, and we didn't learn how to write and read in kindergarten. I don't know if that's what they do in kindergartens today, but we didn't do that whatsoever. We just played all day, basically. Yeah.
Isn't 6 years old like grade 1? Let me see. US age grade. Yeah, first grade is age 6 to 7. That's not fucking kindergarten.
I'm sure that that's how kindergartens used to be a few decades ago.
He's in Latvia. That's where he grew up. Latvia age grade. This is college. I don't think that's it. The fuck is this? Why can't I just... Grade 1, 6 to 7. Grade 2, 7 to 8. So it's the same in Latvia. So either Sverige is an idiot and he just can't remember what age he went to school, or, and this is quite likely, this is highly possible, he has mental disabilities and his parents held him back for a couple years, and he went into school older, hoping that a more mature brain he'd be able to keep up with other students.
Which means that I didn't know how to write any kind of word at all when I was 6, 7. That was normal in Eastern Europe. Nobody there learned anything up until they start going to school. Yeah, then you start learning how to write and read.
Mom is their birthday at the end.
I knew how to read when I was very fucking young. My mom would read to me, and this is how I learned how to read. My mom would read to me, and she'd have the book open, and we'd be laying right next to each other in bed, and she would be reading the page, and I'd follow each word she was reading, and I just learned to read that way. I would follow along each word, and then I learned what each word, meant, and that's how I learned to read. I don't think my parents realized that I even knew how to read, because they would just read to me, and that was easier for me. But yeah, I knew how to read at a very young age, like probably around 4 or 5. I could pretty much read any book.
End of the year, then wrong there.
I'm just saying, that kid actually could write better
Son Goku donated to you.
Than me, because I didn't write anything whatsoever until I started going to school. Didn't change anything about my life. What does it matter? As far as I remember, I was a pretty super happy kid. My life was great.
He was a happy kid. That's why he committed a mass stabbing at his high school.
My big fear about free schooling was that if my kids only went towards what they were interested in, saving all of their real estate only for things they're interested in, not cramming it with anything necessary, I was concerned that they would never be interested in things like reading and writing and math.
To counter this fear, have you tried teaching them reading and writing and math? It's really good for kids to learn at this age, and he clearly wants to. If you don't make an actual plan to educate them now, this is the level that they're going to stay at. The motivation is only going to decrease. Hey, Timmy, want to learn about the alphabet now? Timmy, it's not cute anymore.
Yes, exactly, because you need to force the children at a young age to learn that, because naturally no human has an interest in learning how to write and read man-made letters, these symbols. You have to force everybody. It's impossible for you to naturally have any interest whatsoever in man-made symbols. It's just impossible because of how unnatural it is. Just because no human in nature writes or reads.
Mom, what's 7 plus 5? It will come at the right time.
Why does she pause like this? The stare that she does is so scary. If my mom looked at me like this after I asked a math question, I would never ask one again. But maybe this is a one-off. Maybe she was just really excited, and typically she does turn questions like this into a teaching moment.
When you say that somebody's bad energy and you don't like them because they're bad energy, what you're really saying is that they remind you of yourself.
What if that was a teaching moment? What if they were about to ask what trigonometry is? While she doesn't push her kids to learn things like reading and writing, she does make sure to give lessons on the really essential things.
There was a god named Kronos, and he was so afraid that one of his babies was going to take over his kingdom that he said, every time one of my sons is born, I'm going to eat that. I'm going to eat my own son.
Learning the ABC. No, we're too busy learning about cannibalistic deities. It's more important, and Kronos is really cool. He kind of ate. The child is asking questions here, but mostly because he doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
Why is he gonna eat his own sword?
Because that's the nature of chronological or Chronos time.
Ma'am, this child is not learning anything from what you just said. Even if this kid understood what that answer meant, it wouldn't be an answer, because her answer was that's just the nature of chronological time. Just because it does, that's how it is. You can tell he's completely lost, but it doesn't matter.
Fragile.
Day one of unschooling, and I've got my kids helping me to clean the car out. Teaching them hard work, taking care of the things that you love, that you need, but also cleaning the car clean.
Oh, so like chores. You're educating them by having them do regular house chores. You can't claim that.
Technically, though, that's a lot more normal. If you would need to take care of your shelter in nature, then of course the children would help. And children in general really like to do that. More so girls, from my experience, they always love to help with making things tidy, cleaning up. It's just something naturally in them that wants to do it. It's just my experience.
She also claims that going to the grocery store qualifies as an unschooling lesson.
Now they're going to go grocery shopping with me, and we're going to learn about reading labels. We're going to learn about math and money. When you're buying groceries, you need to make sure that the quality of it is good. So turn it over. See the prices on them right here? You typically want to make sure that you pick the lowest price.
These are just regular life skills that you should be teaching your kid, whether they're...
It's as if she's teaching them how to survive in the slave system. Still, a lot more useful than anything you learn in school. It's pretty cool that they can do this.
Okay, so first we're going to go to the park, okay? And then
That's what Americans do the best on this earth. Americans are the fakest, most two-faced people on this. Maybe you won't be at.
how to socialize, how to be social, how to interact with people socially in a...
I also used the word before. You don't want to be. You need to go to school to meet other children, which is
Ways you could teach your child how to be social.
I don't think Sverige understands that, especially in areas like the US, you may be literally the only child living within a given neighborhood. So, yeah, you kind of need school to be able to socialize with other kids.
Take them on grocery shopping trips. Take them to go to the zoo and teach them how to talk to people. Lead by example.
I had no idea that going to the grocery
or go to a playground that's also full of kids.
store was so beneficial. It's a math
Fragile.
lesson, it's a social visit, it's kind of a one-stop shop, I guess.
When you send your kid to a classroom for 8 hours a day, that is outside influences impacting your child, because what they're going to learn isn't just coming from you. Beliefs that they're going to have aren't just coming from you.
Isn't that a...
Yes, exactly. Everything that you learn as a child should come from your parents, your family, as a...
Oh, Sverige is very fucking stupid.
Super crazy.